Good morning. My name is Aurélien Lorange, and with my colleague Anna-Maria Urbanova from the Coax Foundation, we'll be hosting this last match for the group phase in the Group C for two of our, let's say, universities in this group, because there are four in total. So today we'll have a match between the Desh Bhagat University within India and Tallinn University of Technology within Estonia. The two teams, they received a topic a week ago, and now I give the floor to my colleague Anna-Maria Urbanova, who will be hosting the match. Microphone. No? No, at this moment, no. We cannot hear you.
Good day.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
no, yes.
Apologies. Technical issues are also prerogative sometimes for the organizing team. So good morning to the participating students, of course, and good day to our judges and to our audience today. The Day 3 debate match between the universities of Desh Bhagat and Tallinn University of Technology. It will be on the topic whether or not sovereign wealth funds should be obligated to allocate a minimum percentage of investments to sustainable industries. Of course, the teams had 7 days to prepare for both sides of the argument before we find out which will represent which side during the debate. A final introduction during the group phase for the two teams, starting first with Tallinn University of Technology, Ms. Marenborg. Floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Maria Mirenburg. I'm a first-year law student of Tallinn University of Technology, and I'm delighted to be here in this debate.
Welcome from Desh Bhagat University, Ms. Sonali.
First of all, I would like to apologize from my side that maybe some background noise coming from me. So first of all, namaste. As of Indian Standard Time, I wish you all a very enlightening good morning. I'm a Sonali, aspiring fourth-year law student representing Desh Bhagat University, India in this prestigious debate competition. It is an absolute honor to be here, engaging with some of the brightest minds from around the world, coming from country committed with diversity, deep-rooted transitions, and dynamic youth. I bring me not just my arguments, but also the spirit of open-minded discussion and respectful discourse. Wishing all my fellow debaters best, and let's make this competition fruitful. Thank you.
Thank you. For Tallinn University of Technology, Ms. Koppel.
Well, hello, my name is Gretlin. I'm also a first-year law student. I'm delighted to be here, and I hope it's going to be an interesting match.
You're welcome. For Desh Bhagat University, Ms. Kana.
So first of all, as of Indian Standard Time, I wish you all a very good morning. My name is Mansha, finally a law student from Desh Bhagat University, representing India here. So first of all, I'm very delighted to be here and currently coming from a country known for its diversity, deep-rooted traditions, and dynamic youth. I bring with me not just my argument, but also the spirit of open-minded discussion and respectful discourse. So wishing all my fellow debaters the best, and let's make this competition to remember. Let's hope the best win will this match. Thank you.
Thank you. For Tallinn University of Technology, Ms. Ripinan.
Good morning. My name is Suvi Reipinen. I'm first-year law student from THIULDT, and I hope that we'll have really nice match with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So my colleague will be sharing his screen shortly for the allocation of positions. As always, the team that will be in favor will start the debate. And finally, you will also have 5 minutes to finalize your preparations.
Yes, so now I will share my screen and we'll see which team will be in favor, which team will be against. So normally you should see my screen now, where you see the double flags and logos of your institutions. So as you can see, there are two chances, one chance to be in favor and one chance to be against the motion for each institution. So I activate now the randomizer. So Desh Bhagat University will be against the motion. As a consequence, Tallinn University of Technology will be in favor and will be starting with the first introduction. So it means that Tallinn University of Technology will defend the position that sovereign wealth funds should be obligated to allocate a minimum percentage of investments to sustainable industries, while Desh Bhagat University will defend the position that sovereign wealth funds should not be obligated to allocate a minimum percentage of investments to sustainable industries. So now both teams will have 5 minutes to review their notes, and after we'll start with introduction by the Estonian team. Okay, we are done with the 5 minutes preparation. Just before we start, I remind that when you will see the yellow card, it means you still have 30 seconds in your speaking time, and you can continue to speak, of course. When you will see the red card, it means this is the end of the speaking time. You may finish your sentence, but please do not start a new one, otherwise the judge might penalize you. So
I will also ask the participants just to lower the bandwidth for the Desh Bhagat University participants is when Ms. Gupta will be speaking, so that will be the video stream, which is vertical. Just please everyone, except for the timekeeper and speaker, just close your cameras. All right, so for Tallinn University of Technology, you will now have 4 minutes for your opening statements for the position in favor.
Am I audible?
yes.
Honorable judges, esteemed opponents, what if I told you that a handful of funds, not world leaders, not climate activists, but state-owned investment giants, hold the fate of our planet? These sovereign wealth funds control over $11 trillion. That's more than Japan's economy. And instead of using this fortune to save the world, many are funding the industries setting it on fire. That's why we, the proposition, demand legal obligations to SPFs to invest in sustainable industries. This isn't just a nice idea, it's an urgent necessity. Firstly, the law already says, don't burn the planet, so let's enforce it. Sovereign wealth funds aren't just wallets, they are arms of the state, and with that power comes responsibility. The Stockholm Declaration, 1972, established that states must prevent environmental harm, especially beyond their borders. This principle shaped binding agreements like the Paris Agreement, though partially, and the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. So when sovereign wealth funds pour billions into fossil fuels, they aren't just making reckless investments, they're bankrolling droughts, wildfires, and rising sea levels. The precedent exists. Norway's government pension fund Global, the world's largest SPF, sold off $6 billion in dirty investments due to legal mandates. So why are all the SPFs getting a free pass? We don't need suggestions, we need laws. Secondly, voluntary guidelines are the participation trophies of finance. Some might say, but we already have sustainability guidelines. Yeah, and I have a gym membership, but does that mean I actually go? Principles don't mean performance. Take the Rio Declaration, 1992. It's a great document, but it's not legally binding. A significant portion of sovereign wealth funds still lack a robust sustainability targets. That's like having a speed limit sign, but no cops, no fines, and no one even pretending to follow it. And history has already shown us the Kyoto Protocol 1997 relied on voluntary action. Countries ignored it, and emissions went up. Because guess what? Rules work, voluntary action does not. And if you think voluntary pledges are enough, try telling your landlord, I voluntarily pledge to pay rent eventually. Lastly, if you think fossil fuels are a good investment, I have a typewriter to sell you. Let's talk money. Some might argue that forcing SPFs into sustainable investments is bad for business. You know what's really bad for business? Investing in things that are about to become worthless. The International Energy Agency predicts that by 2030, renewables will attract twice the investment of fossil fuels. But some SPFs are still clinging to oil like it's 1990. Let's look at British Petroleum. In 2020, they wrote off $17.5 billion in fossil fuel assets, basically admitting, oops, turns out oil isn't the future after all. Sticking with fossil fuels now is like trying to sell flip phones to Gen Z. I mean, legally, SPFs can't afford to mess this up. Under Germany's Acting Gazette, Section 93, and Italy's Civil Code, Section Article 1546, investment managers must act in the best interest of beneficiaries, including future generations. Ignoring sustainability isn't just bad ethics, it's bad investment strategy. The future is watching. Let's make sure it has one. To summarize, sovereign wealth funds already have a legal duty to prevent harm. Voluntary guidelines don't work. Just like New Year's resolutions after February, sustainable investment isn't just good for the planet, it's good for business. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear the opening statement for the against position. Desh Bhagat University debate team, you have 4 minutes.
So my argument starts in 3, 2, and 1. So as for today's stand against this motion, which is sovereign wealth fund should not be obligated to invest in sustainably industries. So my opening statements. Good morning to honorable judges, esteemed guests, and audience who are watching us. Thank you so much. So first of all, what is sovereign? What are sovereign countries and what are uh, what are sustainable industries or investment which we are talking currently? I firmly stand against this motion. This motion has strictly 4 to 5 features. I will discuss in my introduction, contradicting the obligation of SWF to invest in sustainably industries. Features are as follows. Sustainability is important, but not at the cost of economic sustainability. Government should dictate, not force. Market flexibility versus rigidity, and last but not least, forces versus forced sustainability. So my first point says that mandating sustainability investment could restrict SVF from making the best financial decision. SVF should have the flexibility to allocate capital based on market condition rather than government government imposed quotas. Forcing investment in specific sectors could lead to inflation and lower overeat returns. So this case is supported by the Kovan versus Cargill, which is in 1985, is often cited in the discussion. Ethical investment mandate. In this case, the court held that pension fund trusts must prioritize the financial interest of beneficiaries over any ethical consideration unless the investment strategy does not result in financial determinant. While this case pertains to pension funds, its principles have been referenced in broader investment context, suggesting that mandatory allocations to sustainable industries could be legally the in challenge is the company financial returns. Potential for legal challenge. Why it is potential? Why we are discussing this topic when we don't need it, if there is no controversial aspect? So why we are discussing this point if we don't know how to do and what is most important for citizen, which are we if we are forced by someone to do this thing, we will not do it. If we are getting the proper intention, or we are getting proper discussion, or we are getting proper guidance from that person, or the authority which is making, then the person will always follow the person who is guiding, not who is forcing. Then you have to do it. So yeah, we will not follow that person, right? Mandatory investment quotas could be contested on the grounds of government overreach and infringement on the investment autonomy of SVF. Such mandates might be viewed as political interference, leading to legal dispute over the appropriate balance between government and policy objectives and the fiduciary responsibilities to fund managers. And lastly, international guidelines and best practices. While there is global push towards sustainable investing, international guidelines like the Centennial Principles advocate for the SWFs to operate independently and make investment decisions based on economic and financial consideration. Mandatory allocation to specified sectors, even sustainable ones, could be seen as conflicting with these practices. As concluding this, I would like to summarize my points in three, 2, and 1. Sustainability should be encouraged but not enforced through rigid quotas that contradict sound economic principles. Sovereign wealth, best interest of the nations. Instead of obligation, government should foster conditions where sustainable investments are visible, competitive, and profitable. Thank you.
Thank you. We have now heard the opening statements for both sides of the argument. We'll now proceed to the rebuttals, starting with the position in favor. Tallinn University of Technology, you have 2 minutes.
Am I audible and visible?
You are.
Firstly, the opponent was saying that sustainability would lead to lower returns. The opposition assumes that sustainable investments mean financial loss. That's simply outdated thinking. Fossil fuel investments are already underperforming. In 2020 alone, British Petroleum wrote 17.5 billion in losses fossil fuel assets because they saw the future. Oil is dying, meanwhile renewables are booming. The International Energy Agency predicts that by 2030 investments in renewables will double those in fossil fuels. Sovereign wealth funds, SVFs, that fail to adapt will be left holding worthless assets. Sustainability isn't charity, it's financial survival. The opposition is stuck in outdated economics. Investing in sustainability is not sacrifice, it's necessity for financial sustainability, national security, and long-term prosperity. We don't need to choose between profit or the planet. The only way to have both is by making sustainability a legal obligation. And the opponents claim that sovereign wealth funds belong to nations and should be free to invest however they choose. But sovereignty does not mean freedom to cause harm, and courts have already ruled that governments have a legal duty to act on climate change. Urgenda versus Netherlands 2019 set a precedent. The Dutch government was legally required to reduce emissions because failing to act violated human rights and environmental responsibilities. If courts can force governments to change its climate um, policies, why should its state-controlled wealth be different? As we are arms of the state, their investments must align with climate obligations. Our opponents argue voluntary guidelines work better than mandates, but history says otherwise. The Kyoto Protocol from 1997 relied on voluntary action, but it didn't work. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear the first rebuttal for the against position. Desh Bhagat University debate team, you have 2 minutes.
Here are some legal frameworks for impact investing. UNPRI's Legal Framework for Impact 2021, the United Nations supported principles for responsible investment published a report asserting that incorporating ESG issues is a requirement of fiduciary duties given their financial materiality. This perspective suggests that falling to consider sustainable investments could itself be a branch of fiduciary duty. Regulation of SWFs. The regulation of sovereign wealth funds, the virtues of close law, this scholarly article argues against imposing additional burden on SWF investment, emphasizing the importance of allowing these funds to operate based on economic and financial grounds without political interference. SEC's interpretation of fiduciary duty interpretation 2019, the US Securities and Exchange Commission clarified that an investment advisor's fiduciary duty encompasses both the duty of care and duty of loyalty. This interpretation implies that advisors must consider all relevant factors, potentially including ESG issues, when acting in clients' best interests. Fiduciary duty ESG investments. There's a case, Tibble versus Edison International 2015. The US Supreme Court ruled that fiduciaries have an ongoing duty to monitor planned investments and remove important ones. While this case pertains to retirement plans, if understood as the continuous responsibility fiduciary holds, which could be interpreted to include considerations of environmental, social, and governance factors. In ENCO Fiduciary Consultants Analysis 2021, this analysis highlights lawsuits and alleged breaches of fiduciary duty related to ESG investments. The case emphasizes that fiduciaries must balance ESG considerations with their primary obligation to act the best financial interests of the beneficiaries. So, in conclusion, I would say sovereign wealth funds to allocate a fixed percentage investments to sustainable industries could limit their financial flexibility, reduce potential returns, and expose them to unnecessary risks. Government imposing
Thank you.
such
Your
mandates
time is
may
up.
interfere with them.
So we'll now hear the second rebuttal, starting with the team in favor. Tallinn University of Technology, you have 2 minutes.
Am I audible?
You are.
So, respected judges and esteemed opponents, the opposition tries to tell us that we should put the national interest first, but is the sustainability against the national interest? I would argue otherwise. Sustainability is the national interest. Climate change directly harms economics. Extreme weather, rising sea levels, and natural disasters cost nations billions annually. Fossil fuels are not the long-term economic solution here. Countries that fail to invest in renewables risk falling behind the global markets. Waiting for voluntary action is reckless. Like the Kyoto Protocol, Rio Declaration were non-binding, yet emissions continued rising. Markets react too slowly. Governments regulate taxes, trade, and finance because waiting for voluntary compliance leads to crisis. National interest and sustainability are not the opposites. Failing to invest in the future is bad for both. Also, the opposition tries to tell us that nations will follow the when guided, when not dictated. Well, like I said, voluntary guidelines have already failed. Regulations are necessary. Major global policies should be enforced. It shouldn't be optional. Governments don't just guide tax payments, they enforce them. Environmental destruction is as serious as a financial crime. It requires binding obligation, not just incentives. We don't guide people to stop polluting rivers, we make it illegal. Sovereign wealth funds should follow the same logic. Thank you.
Thank you. Now passing the floor to Desh Bhagat University for the second rebuttal in the against position.
My statement starts in 3, 2, and 1. So opponents argued that due to global activities and other things, and the voluntary statements have been made, but are failed. These are all outdated things. Currently, with the current situation, my first argument states that risk versus profitability. The opposition suggests sustainability investments are a high risk, but global trends but show the opposite. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, shifted toward ESG investment because they are financially viable. According to a case, the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority and Singapore GIC have successfully incorporated green investments without reducing returns and proving sustainability can align with financial growth. My second argument states that whether it is good or bad, or whether it is useful or not, if we contradict the opposition statement, which they are saying that we are outdated and something like that, and the things they have stated that the government has failed to manage sustainable development in a continuous chain. It is not true. Even if there are climate change, there are some things which are there are laws, there are economic development which are being made. It will take time to settle down, but it will have the impact to change the diversity from lower to this end to a higher end. So my second argue states that free market versus state control. The opposition argues that SWF should be not be guided by market forces. However, SWFs are government owned and already subjected to state directions such as strategic reserves and infrastructure projects. If government can mandate defense, social welfare, and infrastructure spending, why should sustainability be exempting from a similar policy direction? So, in conclusion, I would like to state that opposition arguments are contradictory, but they are not true. They are failed in to mandate this topic to be liable. They claim
Thank you.
SWF should be
Your
free
time is up.
market driven.
We have now heard the rebuttals after the opening statements. We'll now proceed to the conclusions. Starting with the Tallinn University of Technology, you have 2 minutes for your conclusion for the in favor position.
Am I visible and audible?
You are.
Honorable judges and esteemed opponents, we laid out undeniable truth. Sovereign wealth funds, SVFs, control trillions, and right now too much of that money is fueling the climate crisis instead of fighting it. This isn't just bad ethics, bad economics, bad policy, and bad law. Firstly, the law is already on our side. The Paris Agreement from 2015 requires financial flows to align with climate goals. Courts are holding governments accountable. Urgence versus Netherlands 2019 forced the government to act on a climate change. If the law demands action, then FBS the arms of the state must comply. Secondly, voluntary guidelines are worthless. Climate agreements without enforcement are like gym membership people never use. Nice in theory, but useless in practice. History proves this. The Kyoto Protocol from 1997 failed because it relied on voluntary action. Rules work, promises do not. Thirdly, fossil fuel investments are a financial disaster. The International Energy Agency predicts renewables will outpace fossil fuels by 2030. Even oil giants like BP are writing off billions in losses. FBS clinging to coal and oil are making dinosaur-era decisions in a digital world. If governments fail to act, they could face lawsuit, economic instability, and historic judgment. The opposition tries to tell us we should put national interest first, but is the sustainability against the national interest? Using FPS in the national interest of the state, we want to prevent the global warming from going on. Sustainable investments protect them from climate disasters that will cost far more than green transitions. So, judges, the choice is clear. Do we let SVFs bankroll climate destructions, or do we enforce the laws, protect the future generations, and invest in industries that will actually last? And the answer is obvious. We urge you to vote for the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Passing the floor to Desh Bhagat University debate team. The conclusion in the against position. You have 2 minutes.
Judges and worthy opponents, I will conclude with recent town developments. So, BlackRock and Tennessee settlement, 2025, BlackRock settlement, a lawsuit with the state of Tennessee, where it was accused of downfalling the significance of ESG consideration in its investment strategies. The settlement included increased transparency and better communication with investors, highlighting the legal risk associated with ESG investment strategies. These cases and legal interpretations illustrate the nuanced balance fiduciaries must maintain between incorporating sustainable investment strategies and fulfilling their primary obligation to act in the best financial interest of beneficiaries. Accordingly, many SWFs already integrate sustainability considerations based on market trends rather than regulatory requirements. While sustainability is important, SWFs should retain the autonomy to invest based on financial merit rather than imposed quotas. A market-driven approach allows for a more balanced and strategic transition toward sustainable investment without compromising economic stability. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your submission. This marks the end of your debate. You can now relax. You are no longer graded after this part. As always, our judges will have 3 business days to review the debate and submit their results. After we confirm the results, we'll be more than happy to share them with you immediately after. Of course, the results will be also shared in LinkedIn, which you can also use to connect with each other, as we have tagged all of you in the introduction calls and the announcement for the debate itself. However, now is also an opportunity to do a little feedback round with each and every one of you present on the call on how you perceive the debate, the research, and perhaps the arguments of the teams, and maybe also how it compared to the previous debates, as this is the day 3 of your group phase. So starting first with the Tallinn University of Technology, Ms. Mirenburg, how was the debate?
Yeah, interesting topic indeed. Yeah, debate went fine. I'm glad from my part, and my teammates did very well.
Right, thank you for sharing. Ms. Gupta, how was it for your team?
Quite challenging, as all those matches, both matches were like evening shifts, and mostly works are done in the morning. So and I'm also not at home now, and because of that, many more noises are coming from behind. So, and actually for the last match, literally worthy opponents, literally they did commendable work. So it was really nice match, really good.
For sharing. For Tallinn University of Technology, Ms. Deipinen, how was it for your team? Did you hear maybe familiar arguments from the Desh team for the against position?
Can you repeat the question?
How was the debate for your team? And maybe did you hear familiar arguments from the Desh Bhagat University compared to the ones that you also prepared for the against position in your research?
I guess we were expecting a little bit of a different arguments, but this was something that we expected as well for them to say. So it wasn't anything too like groundbreaking, but I think we prepared well. But their arguments were good as well, so I could see that they were prepared as well. Thank you for the nice debate.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Ms. Kana, how was the debate for you? And maybe how would it compare in regards to the previous group matches? Did your team prepare a bit different?
Actually, at first, I forgot there was a match. I was expecting the matches in the evening. I wasn't prepared at first at all. I am being honest there. I forget that matches in morning. I was like, the matches in evening. So at first, she called me like called me like there is a match. The match is going on, but I was like, I am at work right now. So yeah, the match was interesting. The argument we were it is true that we are in favor the opposition team. Their arguments I've like also expected that they will tell this and this, but obviously at subvert it was like going smooth and then the match finished. Yeah, it was very great. From our side, we did very well. I am proud of myself and that we did very well. Thank you. I will say that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. The same question for Tallinn University of Technology's Ms. Koppel. How was the debate for you, and maybe how did it compare to the previous group phase matches in regards to your team's preparation?
Hello. I really liked the match. I think the topic was the most complex one for us because we haven't really done research in SVS era. And also, yeah, compared to previous ones, we had to do more research because we had no idea about this topic. We had to prepare ourselves within a week, which was really hard and really time consuming. And yeah, I really liked the match. I think we didn't expect as many cases as we heard today. But I was very impressed, and thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. Just a bit of maybe also a networking question. In the days and the rounds of the group phase, you have heard different statements, both for your research and your debates. Maybe you have also watched the debates of other teams, particularly maybe of your group as well. And of course, in your studies, you encounter different areas of law as well. Is there perhaps an area of law that you are considering to pursue further professionally or maybe academically for the research, legal research and application? Maybe starting with the Tallinn University of Technology. Again, Ms. Nuremberg.
Specific area of the law. Well, I mean, international law. Yeah. Nothing like too specific, but I would like to say in international law.
Right, thank you. The same question to Ms. Gupta for Desh Bhagat University.
I would really go with civil and criminal laws and more often like a human resource, something like that.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Ms. Rippinen from Tallinn University of Technology.
I'm not sure yet. Since we are like first year bachelor students, we are still on the foundations. So I think it's good to get different experience from different fields so you can know better and compare. But I think so far IT law has been interesting, what we have learned about it. So
Thank you for sharing. Ms. Kana for Desh Bhagat University.
I guess I am more attracted to civil law, which is a very interesting, and rather I would prefer in future IPR. My favorite tech. I would like to go with Pro too, if I get an opportunity. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Ms. Koppel, how is it for you?
I think I'm more keen to European law. There's something that's just so fascinating to me. So yeah, probably that's something I'm gonna pursue in the future.
Well, you already have a good baseline in regards to getting a concepts review and doing also very fast research, and maybe perhaps also quickly learned to identify important resources. So wishing you all the best for the future steps, be it the future debate or the career in law. Speaking of possible exchanges that are also within the realm of the teams, my question would be, is there perhaps happening a student event or cultural event in your city or on your campus? Should the other team come and visit, that you could maybe introduce them to teach you a bit and teach them a bit more, or introduce a bit more about your campus, university, or city? And first, for the Tallinn team, how is it?
In Tallinn, there is the Future Law Conference. It's in May, in the end of the May. We just heard about it like yesterday or 2 days ago, but apparently it's like a very big law conference between like the Northern Europe. But I think there are like lawyers from like US and UK even, they said. So I think that is something meaningful and big happening in Tallinn for this spring.
Indeed. Are your students able to participate and join?
Yeah, students are able to participate, but there is a ticket cost.
All right. Well, the same question for the Desh Bhagat University. Any cultural or student-led events that are happening on your campus or in your city, New Delhi in this case, that you maybe would introduce the Italian team to?
Yeah, in just a week, on 28th, I guess, it's a national IPR debate competition, national level, international level actually, and many students have participated, and I also was showing research papers, PPTs, and all. And in May month, in the last of the week, there will be a cultural event, um, youth festival of our university. So yeah, two events are upcoming. So excited for that.
Right, exciting period ahead. I would be, on the behalf of the organization, I would like to congratulate you first for the completion of the group phase. And of course, it's been a pleasure to see your debates and to be able to host for them. I will be passing the floor to my colleague, Professor Lorange, to conclude the session.
Yes, congratulations. That was the third match. So in your group, yes, there were 4 teams from Estonia, India, Greece, and as well from Chile. So have in mind that indeed so it's a lot of distance between all the teams. That was already a great achievement to discuss and debate on 3 main themes. So congratulations, and particularly for students who are debating for the first time, and as well, even if you are in a different area of law, that is as well a way to explore those areas of law. So congratulations. We'll of course share the results in a few days, and there will be a networking session as well with all the other teams that will happen in April. So you'll meet the 7 other groups concretely, and at that time, of course, we'll speak about as well the 8th of finals, particularly because those 8th of finals will start at the end of April. So that was a pleasure for us, and we thank all of you, because we understand that yes, it's early morning in Estonia, and as well it was the first match in the morning as well for the Indian team. So so that was already a challenge as well, but many thanks for all these 5 weeks of debates, and soon you will hear from us as well by email, and we'll meet again online in mid-April. So many thanks, Miss Urbanova as well, and yes, we keep in touch, all of you. Thank you very much.
Well done, everyone. Goodbye.
Well done. Bye bye.